Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Genesis chapter 14. There are 24 verses in this chapter. Beginning in verse 5, we see the first difference here. It says here, Kodolo Gomor, or Chodolo Gomor. Cut to pieces the giants in Ashtaroth and Karnaim. So that's the big difference. He cut to pieces the giants. In the MT, it says the kings that were with him smote the Rephaims. So instead of saying giants, they say Rephaims. So I smell a cover-up, possibly, that there is a cover-up regarding giants. There's this narrative that is being suppressed or being pushed where they aren't really giants. They are Rephaims, or they're something else. They're mighty men. Whereas we know, if that is true, then there's no such thing as Goliath. There's no such thing as the Anakim. There's no such thing as King Og. There's no such thing as men feeling like they're grasshoppers, men tall as cedar trees. That means a lot of the Bible is just, fables, basically. And we're making this up, that there were actual giants. They're just regular people, average height, maybe a little bit taller than normal, but no, there weren't actual giants. That doesn't reflect reality we live in today. Well, I would say the same thing talking about miracles. I don't see miracles happening today. It doesn't mean, just because I don't see them happening today, doesn't mean they never happened at all. So we have to be careful with that kind of logic, that kind of reasoning. Verse 6 says the turpentine tree of Paran. Here it just says El Paran in the MT. Verse 7, the well of judgment. It says here the well of judgment versus En Mishpat. So most likely this is only a translation of En Mishpat as well of judgment. That's what I am leaning towards, and you could look it up yourself. It says here princes of Amalek. Cut in pieces all the princes of Amalek. Here it says smote all the country of the Amalekites. Two different things. One is obviously people in high position, and country of the Amalekites means everybody. So which is it? Verse 8, the Salt Valley. We see that here, right at the end of the verse. Here it says the Vale of Siddim. Verse 10, mountain country, right at the end, versus mountain. Verse 13, rescued. It says here, one of them had been rescued. This is when they kidnapped Lot. And it says here, rescued. One of them who had been rescued told Abram the Hebrew, where it says in the MT, one that had escaped. Two different things altogether. So if we were in a court of law right now, and you're asking me, okay, what actually happened? And I tell you, oh, I was rescued. Versus someone asking me, okay, what happened? And then I tell them, oh, I escaped. Those are two different things altogether. They are vastly different accounts. It would not hold up in a court of law. They wouldn't be the same account. They would be contradicting accounts. The stories wouldn't match up. And that's what we're seeing ever since chapter 1 of Genesis. Verse 14, I have to admit and confess I stand corrected. I was wrong in my previous video where I said these 300 men that he took with him, that Abram took with him, it says here 318 servants, homeborn servants. I said, and I speculated, they came from Egypt. I admit I was wrong. They did not. It says right here in the Septuagint, in the Torah, right in our eyes, right before our eyes here, they were homeborn of his own household. They were numbered, and they pursued those who took Lot into captivity. And he numbered them. In the MT, it says he armed them. So these were not from Egypt, as I speculated. They're actually from his own household, homeborn. It doesn't mean he didn't have servants from Egypt. It just means these specific 318 were homegrown, homeborn. Uh, so that's that. That's that. And I stand corrected. I have to mention that right now and admit it, because it takes somebody to admit that. If they don't, then you just pretend you're right. But I'm not going to do that. Verse 16, we read here, Lot, his nephew, in the MT, brought again his brother Lot. So two different things. Is he your brother or your nephew? Obviously, it's his nephew, because the MT admits it. In verse 12, Abram, it says they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, his nephew. So it contradicts itself, the MT. Verse 17, the plain of the kings, Sabi. It says here, they're with him at the valley of Shaveh, which is the king's dale. A valley is not a plain. They're similar, but they're not exactly the same. 19, verse 19, the Most High Elohim, who made heaven and earth, in the MT, possessor of heaven and earth. Two different things. Are you the owner of or the creator of? Well, we've seen the Septuagint. He's not only the owner of, but he created. He's the creator. Some say that the enemy is presently the king of this domain, of this earthly domain, that he owns it right now. It's been put under his authority temporarily, but ultimately the creator of it all is Elohim, is Jehovah. Verse 20, Abram gave him the tithe of all. It says here, he gave him the tithes of all, plural in the MT. And the last one I want to point out, the last difference, is verse 21. The king of Sodom said to Abram, give me the men and take the horses to yourself, the horses. Whereas in the MT it says, give me the persons, or the men, and take the goods to yourself, the goods. Two different things. And that's all I have to point out for Genesis 14. Thank you for joining me. This is Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. May Jehovah bless you and make your way prosperous. And I just thank you for listening. May he give you the heart to love him with all your mind, all your strength, all your soul, and to love your fellow neighbor as Yehoshua loved us. Thank you. This is a beautiful word, beautiful text. It's more beautiful to live it. And I just thank you all for your time. I'm going to end this recording now.